Good Monday morning. We have a weather alert day, and this is special live streaming coverage. I am beyond delighted to have Cheryl Nelson here. You've been helping us out with traffic coverage, but if those of you don't know Cheryl and her background, I'll just tell you right now, she is a very good meteorologist, trained Penn State.
Yes, I mean, thank you.
Not a bad program. Anyway, Penn State meteorologist, you work for FEMA, you have all this technical expertise, and we've been so grateful to have you helping out,
Thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great. So we're going to go ahead and do some live streaming here. Taylor Stephenson's also standing by. We'll be breaking all of this down. So we'll be hearing more from Cheryl in just a moment. Here's what we have, our weather alert day. You can see it runs today and tonight. Basically, we've been dealing with snow. All right, we know that. We've seen a transition to mix, and it's actually starting to become more rain across areas a little farther to the south. That's going to continue as we go along. So we still have this mix. There's still snow to the north. If you were thinking about traveling north, you may want to avoid that this morning. Some heavy snow across northern Virginia. We've been hearing, Cheryl's been looking at some of the traffic cams up towards Arlington, and we've heard from Harrisonburg, Richmond, out through the Shenandoah Valley. Lots of snow out that way. Not a good time to travel, and you do need to stay in touch with our forecasts. In general, for Hampton roads, this is what we're going to find. Icy spots are going to be possible, mainly to the north and to the northwest. Honestly, most of Hampton roads really isn't that bad right now. It's more wet than anything, and we are seeing more of a transition to rain. But you don't want to drop your guard, and we're going to talk about why here. You can see while we deal with a cold rain later this morning, and it might be moderate to heavy at times, there will be some breaks around the, say, mid-afternoon to late afternoon. There may still be that wintry mix far to the north, but most of us are just going to see a cold rain around midday. We have to watch around for some wraparound moisture on the backside of the storm system as it tracks off to the east. Those north winds on the backside of the system are going to pull colder air down into the region, and where we see some bursts of snow, there might be some minor accumulations, even to the south side. And anything, whether you get snow or mix, if it's slushy or just wet, as temperatures drop overnight and we head towards morning lows in the mid to upper 20s, we're going to be concerned with black ice and flash freezing. So you can see this morning, while we're seeing some breaks now, there will continue to be just kind of hit and miss showers, but it will be more rain coming later this morning through noon and then into the afternoon. All right, I want to take a look at our precip chances again, really rocketing up late morning into the early afternoon. Then we start to dry it out a little bit. Now you'll notice after 7 o'clock we get another surge of moisture. Likely we see this is that wraparound moisture. Good chances for snow or mix at this point. And then overnight, whatever falls here, and if the roads are wet, even if you have standing water left over in poor drainage areas, all of that's going to freeze as temperatures drop into the 20s. Take a look at this storm system. You can see this thing was a snowmaker in the central U.S. It's tracking to the east, and it's bringing that snow and the impacts into our area right now. The models have done a heck of a job monitoring and forecasting this. This low tracks through, this warm front lifts through the area, and we see more of that transition to rain as the warmer air comes in. Now, we're going to spend a lot of time here over the next 40 minutes or so with this live stream, but for now, what I want you to do is stay with us on the stream. You are going to watch. We're going to do a quick live GMA update on television. So Cheryl's going to kick it off with more traffic information.
Good morning. It's 7:23. I'm Cheryl Nelson here talking about your traffic on the roadways this morning. Just some wet roads on the south side as things continue to warm up a little bit. Now, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel speed limit is reduced to 25 miles an hour. Still could be a little bit of slush here and there. We've got one accident to speak of on the peninsula. The right-hand shoulder is blocked due to a crash. This is I-64 eastbound at exit 258B. So a heads up there. That is Route 17. Also, we've got a breakdown here. Exit ramp from the Hampton Roads Beltway to Armistead Avenue, and finally 64 East near mile marker 260. There was a crash and the shoulder is closed there. Roads, issues on the roadways, everything western areas there, so we're doing pretty good in the Hampton Roads immediate area. North and west still have some problems. Craig is back with the forecast after this.
Okay, we're going to take a look at the winter weather. Again, we've got the winter storm warning from back across Illinois, straight across Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, and Virginia. Now, for our area, it's been a winter weather advisory. We're getting ready to do the second part of our GMA cut-in, and we're going to do that real quick here after this rejoin, and then we'll get back to our stream. Oh, I'm just told we have 1:10 left in the break. All right, so we can take a look here. Right now, the winter weather advisory includes Chesapeake, Suffolk, Isle of Wight, the Peninsula, Middle Peninsula, and the Eastern Shore. You'll notice the Albemarle Sound, we do not have it, including that area. It's been a little too warm, and the precip's been lighter down there. Virginia Beach, Norfolk, and Portsmouth, while we did get a little bit of mix and snow, it's been mainly showers this morning. So these areas not included, but we all want to stay very much weather aware because we will see that potential for the flash freezing later tonight, and tomorrow morning black ice may be an issue. Now we're getting ready for the second part of the GMA. Does the director want me here or over at the key? I'm staying right here. All right, so we're getting ready to do this GMA update, and then we're going to come back, and Cheryl and I will have more for you. We're also going to bring in Taylor Stephenson, who's been out this morning up around Williamsburg. Stay tuned for that. All right, I'm getting a 10-second standby, so we'll get ready to do this. Good morning. We've got a winter weather advisory for much of the south side, the peninsula, southern parts of the eastern shore. You go north, we still have the winter storm warning, and that's where the heavier snow is across northern Virginia over to Maryland. We do have some mixing still out to the west, but it's starting to warm up a little bit, and with that will come a transition to rain. So look for the change over to rain. We'll see a few breaks from time to time, but also some moderate to heavier rain around midday. Tonight, my concern is for some snow bursts to wrap around the backside of the system, so additional minor accumulation, and then flash freezing overnight. Morning lows in the 20s, highs tomorrow in the upper 30s. Folks, stay alert to black ice early Tuesday. All right, and that was our update for GMA. All right, so Cheryl is here, and I'm going to bring Cheryl back around if she wants to come back around to the weather pod. I love that we can do this again. This is open, kind of free form, but this is what's so cool about living in this digital age, that we can just kind of loosen it up a little bit and just talk to you. We're not confined by just a real strict time. So Cheryl, again, as we were doing our GMA cut-in, we're like, over there, over there, over there, like, go.
Live TV.
I'm interested in your take on what we've seen so far this morning. We're going to take a look at the radar, but you were noting, you know, and again, this is a very typical situation where we get these storms. We see mix for some areas. Usually that snows a little farther north or inland.
Yeah, I know, it's tough, and I've lived here just like you a long time. I've been here almost 20 years, believe it or not, so I've tracked a lot of storm systems, and I really feel like that I-95 corridor there is that area. If you really want good snow, you got to go north or west of Richmond. That's the tough part. And for us, yeah, we got spoiled a little bit of snow last night, got everybody excited, and then I bet folks are waking up this morning on the south side anyway, probably going,
what's all this about,
snow?
right? Just some rain. Now, we will say, again, this has been well advertised by the models, and we're going to get into this. I'll just quickly put up this, what we call our when graphic here, when, impact, and needs, okay? So the when on this is today and tonight, and then the impact is going to be that wintry mix transitioning to rain, and then we have to watch for the flash freezing overnight. You see the details on the timing, and I went through this. So what I want to do right now is we're going to take a look at the radar, and Cheryl keeps trying to walk away. I'm not letting you go away yet, Cheryl. No, we're going to talk together about some of the wet weather out there, and I want to get into the radar analysis, and we'll take a little closer look at this. Now, northern sections of Virginia, you were tracking this with some of the cameras. What areas were you seeing that were being more heavily impacted? I-95, right?
Oh my gosh, yes. So basically areas from Fredericksburg up to Woodbridge to Arlington up to the D.C. area, they saw some heavy bursts of snow, as you see there in the darker blues, indicating that. And that snow was blowing around. I-95 near Arlington and Alexandria was completely snow covered. They are getting tremendous amounts of snow across northern parts of the state. And really back closer to home, as you get to the Middle Peninsula and the Northern Neck, this is where you still have some some snow on the ground. Now, there's still some snow on the ground in Gloucester. The roadways now are looking much better than they were earlier. Same thing in Surrey, transitioning over to some rain, but Surrey still has some snow in the grassy areas. And then you get to the northern neck and the eastern shore, and certainly a good amount of snow out there. But notice back to the west, some mixing precipitation.
Some of that warmer air starting to kind of get entrained into the system. Williamsburg seeing a little bit more of a transition to rain right now. I mentioned our colleague Taylor Stephenson is up in Williamsburg. She was looking at the snow, and I believe she's available to join us now. Taylor, she's in the SUV, and you guys are rolling. Good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Craig. Yes, it has been a winter wonderland up here in Williamsburg. I even saw that some college kids took the opportunity to make mini snowmen and snow women overnight. Now, this is what we're looking at right now across the roads here in Williamsburg. We are talking a wintry scene. We have snow on the ground in those grassy areas, like Cheryl said earlier, and then all up on our trees. Now, of course, grassy terrain and trees, they cool down much more easily than the roads do. On the roads, a little bit too warm to see that accumulation, but we have seen a lot of slush. Now, the problem is what Craig has mentioned during daybreak, and what he's about to mention now is that we're worried about that refreeze or that flash freeze overnight for the rain we're seeing now and the slushy conditions we've had since this morning, freezing over on these roads, creating black ice conditions. Now, right now here in Williamsburg, we are talking a very cold rain. Temperatures barely above freezing, but just warm enough to melt those snowflakes before they hit the ground. So right now, transitioning over to that cold rain, and that's what we'll really see for the majority of the day until we get our last burst of some real good snow later this evening. Cheryl and Craig, I know you have more on that.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'll tell you, Taylor did a great job up there giving us a feel for the moisture content and how the snow was transitioning from time to time up in the Williamsburg area. And I want to hear more from her a little bit later on as we continue our live stream. And we're going to continue with this through 8 o'clock. And we've got another live stream, one that we do every single day at 9 o'clock called From the Weather Desk, or the Weather Desk. That's weekdays at 9 a.m. And you'll want to be sure and join us. We've got reports from all around the Commonwealth. We're really going to dive in to our snow coverage. As we take a look right now, let's go back to the maps, and I'll just show you again how we have the rain really transition over. So the snow that we saw overnight, that is going to be washing away. I want to show you the storm reports, some of them that we've been seeing coming in. Around Norview, we just had a little bit more than a trace of snow, just about 1/10 of an inch. You come up around Newport News, and you can see at Beaconsdale, they had 1.3 inches there. You go a little farther up around Menchville, 2 inches of snow, and up towards Fort Eustis, they had 1.5 inches. Now, this was earlier, and now the rain and some of that mix knocking those totals down. The Williamsburg area, we've seen about 2.5 inches there as well. Now, out to the west and to the northwest, a little bit more showing up. You can see up around the Middle Peninsula. We'll check in with our storm report up there, and what we were seeing just around the Gloucester area, you can see at Wareneck, 2.1 inches. You head up towards Quinton, another area, 3 inches there at Bottoms Bridge. So there were some heavier amounts, around 3 inches, several locations in Richmond, and about 2.5 around Petersburg. That's what was going on earlier. Right now, again, it's rain and it's this mix. And if you're up on the eastern shore, let's zoom into this area. Travel along 13, maybe a little touch and go. You can see 13 up through Accomack County, Hallwood, a little bit of mixing there. On Hancock and Melfa, likely seeing some snow flurries. And then as you come south, you get down around Exmoor, Nassawadox, down through Cape Charles. This is where we transition back to rain. Out to the west, very, very light activity around Waverly and Emporia, some light mixed precipitation, some rain just south of that as you come just east of I-95. So that's what's going on right now across the immediate area, but look at the additional mixing taking place in central Virginia. It is out there, so we do want to keep a close eye to that. Now, as we go along, we're going to find the conditions changing up a little bit. You see on the backside of that system, we do have the potential for additional wraparound. I'm going to step back over to the big board and talk about this, give you a little more detail. You hear us talk about wraparound. What are we talking about? Well, storm system moves along, and on the backside of this, remember, northern hemisphere, we have counterclockwise, or what we call cyclonic winds around this area of low pressure, or a cyclone. Okay, so we've got these winds spinning counterclockwise. As this tracks to the east, the winds here in Hampton Roads, while they're coming up from the southwest, and these are winds, I actually put the winds on here up about 1,000 feet or so, just so you get a feel for the overall wind flow. You get this warmer air transitioning the rain here. But as this low moves along, eventually these winds are going to shift around on the backside of the system to the north and northeast. So while we have the warmer flow this morning, eventually that colder air is going to find its way in, and we're going to see that wraparound moisture coming in, most likely as some snowbursts or mixed precipitation this evening. So while we're seeing that switch to rain right now, that's going to continue as we go through 8, 9 o'clock. You see how the model here, the graph model, which, by the way, has been doing a heck of a job kind of forecasting this and showing areas of concern. It's really been on with this system. So that's been a great relief to us forecasters to see a really reliable performance from the graph. Rain overtakes the region late morning, 11 to 12 o'clock. Rain's going to be heavy at times. The models were projecting anywhere from about 4/10 of an inch up to about 7/10, about 3/4 of an inch or so of rain, depending on what model you look at. But the potential's there for some significant rain. Where you get that rain coming down and it collects, I think about poor drainage areas, maybe the sides of the roads where you could have some standing puddles as we go through the afternoon and into the evening. May not dry up completely, and then that colder air comes in. We get some of those snowbursts on the backside of this, and then into early tomorrow as those winds shift. Remember, on the backside of the system, the wind's coming around from the north, and that's going to drop our temperatures down through the 30s and into the 20s. That's why we're so concerned with black ice tomorrow morning. Notice there might be a few Bay Effect streamers, some little snow streaks that kind of set up and come off, some Bay Effect snow there, but that shouldn't last very long. By Tuesday morning, skies are going to become mostly sunny, but it is going to be cold, and we will be very busy here at 13 News Now, keeping folks updated on that potential for the flash freezing and the black ice. Now, eventually tomorrow, temperatures will get back up above freezing as we head late morning and towards noon. We're in the mid-30s, afternoon highs in the upper 30s, more sunshine there, and things really do look pretty good as we get into Wednesday and Thursday. It's just going to be really chilly. Would you believe, though, there is another chance for snow as we get out over the next 7 days, and I'll show you that in a moment. Take a look at the snowfall potential, and this is additional snowfall that the graph model is projecting. Tappahannock, where they're still seeing some snow up there over towards Chincoteague, maybe another 1 to 2 inches in some areas. You come south of that, amounts much lighter, and keep in mind there is this transition to rain that's taking place. We're not looking for any additional rainfall through this afternoon, additional snowfall this afternoon, but once we get into the evening, that's when we pick up the additional snowbursts, and this could add up anywhere from a trace to, say, 1/4 of an inch across parts of the south side and the peninsula up around Newport News. We might see 1 inch of snow. Later on, Melfa could pick up a little bit more as well. So again, we do have this snow potential, and then the black ice could present some bigger headaches for travel tomorrow morning. Now, Cheryl, I know you just went back to the traffic center. You were keeping an eye to things. What do you have for us?
All right, well, nothing crazy around here, Craig, but I wanted to show you. You mentioned the snow to the north. Gosh, look at this. So this is I-95 in Northern Virginia near Springfield, near mile marker 164. Ooh, I just actually watched, and they just disappeared. There was a car stuck there, and I watched about 5 guys pushing the car out of the way, so we just missed that. But regardless, it is a slip and slide up here. I mean, my goodness, look at this guy. Ooh, you could see his tires kind of going like that a little bit as he's trying to get off the exit. Oh, man, so the roads completely snow covered. Probably have a glaze of ice there too. Tractor trailer, is he doing okay? I'm just watching him go. All right, that's good. At least he's going slow enough there. And we can see the other cars, but boy, this is perfect, a perfect recipe to have some accidents. So hopefully folks continue to drive safely up there in Northern Virginia. My goodness. Closer to home though, all right, no major issues. One crash on the peninsula. I'll get to that in just a second. First though, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel. Notice a lot of yellow here on the map, and the speed limit is reduced to 25 miles an hour because of the conditions of the roadways. Still might have some slush in spots, especially northern parts of the bridge up near the eastern shore. Otherwise, though, that accident I talked about, this is on the peninsula in Hampton. It's off to the shoulder. The right-hand shoulder is blocked due to a crash, I-64 eastbound, exit 258B, so J. Clyde Morris Boulevard. That's where that is right now, but really not impacting traffic. The roads there are just wet, and that's the big story for much of Hampton Roads, just some wet roads with precip transitioning now over to rain. Now this map, this really tells the story. This is the map from VDOT, and I want you to focus on the colors that have the blue and the teal. So we're going back to our north and west here. This is north and west of Hampton Roads. This is Richmond area back here. I'm going to start with 460. 460, this is where the roads get dicey. Anywhere you see the blue or teal could have some slush or some icy spots on the roadways. Route 10 west of Surrey, that's where the issues are. Route 5 west of Williamsburg. I-64 west of Toano or west of exit 227. And then we get up to the Middle Peninsula, and much of that area still having some problems. Route 17 and again Route 3 up to the northern neck to Irvington, Kilmarnock. Problems there. Bigger problems though, where you see this medium color blue, that's more issues than what we're seeing for the Middle Peninsula. So northern parts of the eastern shore north of Exmoor on Route 13. Watch out for some snow and slushy roads. Back closer to home, this is in Surrey. Wow, look how much snow they have there. I would love to get a spotter report. If anybody is watching from Surrey, let me know how much snow you have there, because it looks like a fresh blanket. And I'm sure though now with that precip mixing in, we're going to see those amounts kind of getting squashed down a little bit, and conditions probably get yucky as we go throughout the afternoon. But as of right now, it does look pretty there. Winter driving tips. If you're watching from those northern areas, just keep this in mind. Check your tires. Make sure your air pressure is good before you head out. Want to have a firm grip with the roadways. Now, remove any ice and snow from your vehicle. You don't want that flying as a projectile at other drivers behind you. Trust me, it's not fun when that happens. Don't tailgate. Slow down and give the plows a lot of room. They don't like it when you crowd them. Finally, skidding. You want to avoid accelerating and braking too hard. If you do start to skid, let your foot off the accelerator, and you want to turn into the direction of the skid. All right, that's for your safety. For the rest of us in the immediate Hampton Roads area, you're going winter driving. I don't have to worry about that. We're just getting rain down here. I know, but follow these rules anyway. Play it safe and make sure you're doing good. Drive times locally, no problems here. Again, just wet roads, so everything is moving good. HRBT, Monitor Merrimack, James River Bridge, and then your bridge openings at the Berkeley at 9 and 11. All right, so that's your traffic. Hopefully we don't get any more crashes to speak of. For now, though, Craig, we're going to hand it over back to you. And I see the graphic you have there. And yeah, we are firmly into winter. And oh boy, someone's doing a snow dance, because I know we might have another chance for some snow next weekend.
We do, coming up on Saturday. I'm going to add one more driving tip with Cheryl's list here, which was great. Even if you're on the south side today, okay, and you're saying, okay, it's just wet here, I want you to think about throwing an ice scraper in your car. If you've left it in your garage for a while, you haven't really thought about it, go dig through your stuff. Find that ice scraper and have it available, because overnight tonight, even if you're just seeing rain right now, there's a chance where you could wake up with some ice on the windshield, or you may have some issues here where you need to scrape that stuff off before you're ready to roll tomorrow. With additional precip this evening and early tomorrow, those freezing temperatures, you might be happy you've got that. That would be my advice. All right, let's talk about our next snow chances coming up this upcoming weekend. You know we're dealing with it this morning, and we'll get back to what's going on right now. But as we transition to rain today, some of you may be a little disappointed you didn't get more snow. Well, we're not done with our chances. You can see Saturday, maybe a mix transitioning to rain and then back to snow later Saturday before tapering off Saturday evening. There's at least a chance. That's with the GFS model. Here's the European model. And again, you can see similar here Friday night into early Saturday. This is when it starts to project a little more snow. Of course, it's a weekend, so we won't be as concerned with folks having to hit the roads. But we'll let you know if this continues to hold true. We may have to issue another weather alert day heading into Saturday. We'll see how things come together. In any case, it looks like it will be pulling out late Saturday night and into early Sunday. Things will be improving. Let's take a look at the forecast for today. 46. Again, we are going to see things warming up. Remember, we've got that warm front down to the south. It's going to lift north, and we're going to see the transition over to rain. If it's not already raining where you are, most areas will see that changeover. Winds are light from the east and kind of shifted around a little bit later on. Now, tonight, the winds are going to pick up from the northwest, 10 to 20, gusting to 30. And on the backside of the system, there will likely be a mix to light snow, and there could be a few snowbursts with some minor accumulations additional to what we've already seen. The concern is that lows are going to drop into the 20s. I think mid-20s for inland areas, mid to upper 20s near the coast, but it's going to be very cold tomorrow. And then staying cold through the day, 38 the high for your day tomorrow. And with winds blowing 15 to 20, gusting to 30, you know it's going to feel a lot colder than that. We're going to see more sunshine, so you're thinking, okay, that's not too bad, until you step out there and you feel these wind chills. We're looking at teens. 6 a.m., 7 a.m., 8 a.m. I think about our news crews that are out there in the fields that will be covering those chilly conditions in the morning. We're going to be looking for potential black ice and some slick conditions, icy conditions. As we go through the afternoon, the wind chills in the upper 20s, so it stays really chilly. And speaking of that, you can see those temperatures staying cold as we look ahead over the next 7 days there. Temperatures eventually warming into the low 40s as we get into next Saturday and Sunday. So that's how things are looking as far as the 7-day forecast goes. We're going to focus again on what's happening right now. That's why we're here doing this. We promised some continuing coverage through 8 o'clock, and then again we're doing another live stream at 9. And that one, we have a producer that's been gathering information from all across the Commonwealth. Kyle's going to hook us up with some great reports and information coming in. So we're going to break down everything happening across the Commonwealth. If you have friends or family members in other parts of Virginia that may be wondering what all's going on and you want to share this news about our live broadcast, share that with them. Let them know. Anybody that has the 13 News Now streaming app, that 13 News Now Plus app, you can watch this streaming, and we do it every day at 9 o'clock. So let somebody else around the Commonwealth or around the country know that we do these live updates for you every weekday morning right around 9 a.m. All right, satellite and the radar images, you see the moisture as it came in. Here's what's happening right now. We've got rain showers up in the peninsula. Now, I believe that we have Taylor Stephenson driving down the peninsula in the storm mode SUV, or in the SUV, the weather SUV. Taylor, earlier you were picking up the snow and talking about how good it was packing. All right, talk to us. Was this a pretty wet snow? Talk to us about that.
Good morning, Craig. The snow was not wet at all up here in Williamsburg. It was a very thick snow where you could pack it very easily to make snowballs and snowmen. Now, the problem with making a snowman for me today was it's not that much snow, so it was more of like a snow dirt man, if you can consider it that, because we maybe got an inch to maybe in some isolated places up to 2 inches, somewhere between an inch to an inch and a half here in Williamsburg. The live conditions right now, we're driving on the roads and we just passed the Williamsburg premium outlet mall, and we're just seeing a coating of snow on the grassy areas, the bushes, the tops of roofs, and people's cars. So if you're about to head out this morning in parts of the peninsula, you will need to swipe some of that snow off of your car before you get going. But otherwise, conditions on the roads have not been terrible at all. We've just seen some slushy parts, and because temperatures are above freezing now, we're not really seeing any slick areas at the moment. But we are taking it slow this morning, and that's how it should be as you get across parts of the peninsula. Now, on the south side, I know that we didn't have that much snow. It could be very disappointing. But like Craig said, we need to pay attention to that cold rain that's starting here now in Williamsburg, and that will transition to a widespread, very cold, and even potentially cold, heavy rain at times that may pile up. And if it really does soak into those cracks in the roads or those sidewalks, we could see some black ice potential tonight into early tomorrow morning as temperatures drop into the 20s. So this is just the second or third round of what will be this winter storm that pulls offshore and really deepens and strengthens offshore. We get those wraparound snow showers. So on the south side, don't let your hopes down. You may get a few snow flurries tonight. And like Craig said, Saturday is another potential for seeing some snow as well. So right now, I'm soaking in the fact that we have snow here up on the peninsula. I'm with our photographer, Mike, and he is also soaking in the fact that we have snow, but we have different opinions. I'm from Georgia, he's from Connecticut, so this is nothing to him. For me, it's everything. So, Craig, back to you.
That's so funny, Taylor. I hear you. You know, it's funny because we have some folks in the newsroom like Marta Berglund. Marta is going to be joining us tomorrow to start her new duties as our traffic anchor. We're so excited to have her coming aboard. She's from Minnesota. She takes a look at a snow like this and goes, really? But if you're from down south like Eugene and Taylor and you don't typically get to see this type of action, this is pretty exciting. And I got to tell you, I've lived in Chicago and New Jersey and Salt Lake and Detroit. I've seen a lot of snow. I still got a little geeked up when I saw it this morning, first coming out the door this morning. I thought, man, this is great. As a matter of fact, I was like, I'm going to go ahead and take a picture. This was on my wife's hood of her car. I went ahead and wrote snow just because it had been so long. 1,072 days since the last time we had measurable snow in Norfolk. Our snow drought is over. Wasn't a ton, but we did get some. And we're going to talk more about the snow and what else you can expect. But I understand Cheryl's back in the weather center and the traffic center, and you've got another update on those roads. What's happening?
Hey, Craig. Yeah, you know, I wanted to show you what was going on the roadways. And before I do, this image that we're looking at now, if you guys can see that there, we are looking at Northern Virginia. This is I-95 near the Springfield area. So, wow, look at all the snow they've got there. There's a plow off to the side of the road and then a van off to the side of the road. I'm not sure what the plow is doing sitting there, maybe just kind of shielding the van that's there, but certainly some heavy snow falling across northern parts of the state. Now, I want to show you this too as we go to our next graphic here. This is the VDOT map, and what I want you to focus on are the colors on the map here. So the colors of the roadways, where you see the purple, that indicates some severe issues with the road. So heavily snow-covered roads. Again, that's Northern Virginia down to Fredericksburg. And where you see the medium blue, those are moderate issues. So we go down 95 there, closer to Richmond. And then we get into that light blue or teal color near Ashland. And finally, the Richmond area. So fully covered there in some minor road issues, so probably just some light snow or some slush, maybe some ice on some of those roadways, but that continues down I-64 and then it stops just to the west of Towano. So if you are traveling 64 on the peninsula, things will start to get dicey after mile marker 227 west of Towano. Now, some other areas that you might be traveling, if you are going Route 5, once you cross over the bridge and to the west of Williamsburg, roads get a little bit dicey there. If you're traveling Route 10 in Surry County, so there's Surry, Spring Grove, and to the west of there near Burrowsville, that's when roads start to get a little bit problematic on Route 10. And then we go down to Route 460, so Waverly looks okay, but then then we get up to Disputanta, and that's when things could get a little bit problematic there. Now, I also want to take you up to the northern neck, and I do have precipitation turned on this map too, where you see the light pink colors. That's indicating some mixed precipitation. So that is still falling. There's Gloucester Courthouse. So we are seeing some problematic roads there, maybe still some slush there. Gloucester, White Marsh, we get to the Coleman Bridge, Gloucester Point, and Yorktown. But then south of there on the peninsula, we are okay. Let's go up to the Middle Peninsula here. So now we're looking at Matthews, certainly seeing some issues there. And then we go up farther on Route 3 as we get up into the northern neck. So Kilmarnock, Irvington, up to Reedville, seeing some mixed precip and still having some issues there on the roadways. So that's something certainly to consider. And then let's go over here to the Eastern Shore. Big issues on the Eastern Shore. All right, so north of Exmoor, we've got the moderate road problems there. So Exmoor all the way up to Onancock, and then finally up to Chincoteague. We're seeing some issues with some snow or some sleet, icing, slush on the roadways up there. All right, so Craig is back. Craig, I know we've got a Good Morning America cut-in coming up soon, but for now, I'll toss it back to you.
Yeah, we're just going to take a quick look at the snow and the impact that this system has had across the country. These areas, you can see Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, they didn't have snow prior to this system. There was snow up across the northern tier and obviously back out over the mountains this time of year. They always have snow up in those areas, but this system has been a big snowmaker, and you can see the impacts it's had across northern Virginia and parts of our area, again, dealing with some snow on the ground right now. Although areas that were shaded in earlier this morning have already seen it wash away with that transition to rain and those temperatures starting to warm up a little bit. So again, we do have a weather alert day, and this is going to be for today and tonight. We've seen the mix already, and we have additional snow potential this evening with flash freezing overnight, setting up perhaps some black ice and dangerous commute tomorrow morning for some areas. If we do see that ice, it will, I'll say, at least a tricky commute for some potentially. Hopefully, folks will be super cautious and we'll get through in good shape. Monitor the forecast for updates. You see this storm system as it's coming through. We are starting to transition now. More of that rain extending a little farther north, and we will see the temperatures again climbing into the mid-40s. Now, we're getting ready to do another update for GMA, one of our cut-ins. You're going to hear Cheryl rejoin with our coverage there on GMA Live on TV. She's going to do traffic. She'll toss over to me, and then I'll go ahead, finish that up, and we'll finish up this live stream. I want to remind folks, we're going to be doing another live stream with even more reports coming up today at 9. All right, I'm going to send it over to Cheryl.
All right, Craig, thanks so much. Good morning, everyone. It is 7:56 right now, and we are tracking a couple issues. And we do have Route 13, Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel speed limit is reduced to 25 miles an hour due to some potentially slushy roads. But we have a bigger problem. Now, this is a crash that just happened. This is on I-64 westbound near exit 282 and US 13. So gosh, you can see the cars there in the middle of the road, people standing off to the side there. Ooh, that's not good news. We don't even have rescuers or first responders on the scene there. So please take it easy if you are heading in that direction. My goodness, a lot going on. Also up on the peninsula, the right-hand shoulder is blocked due to a crash on 64 eastbound near exit 258B, J. Clyde Morris, or Route 17. Craig now is here with a look at the forecast.
All right, Cheryl, thanks for the update. Right now, we have that transition occurring now from the mix over to rain, and we're getting more warm air starting to stream into the area. Still some mixing out towards I-95 and snow up around Tappahannock, but that warmer air is pushing farther to the north. Temperatures today will top out in the mid-40s. We are going to look for more rain later this morning and into the afternoon, and then the potential for flash freezing tonight with some snow bursts during the evening. We'll be watching for that. Cold throughout the week. All right, we just have another minute or so left for our live stream. So again, if you've been watching us since 7:15 when we started this, we promised some extended coverage, and we've been giving it to you right here through our streaming platforms. Want to talk a little bit more about this upcoming week. It is going to be very breezy and blustery tomorrow. Temperatures in the upper 30s, but the wind chills in the teens tomorrow morning, and then in the 20s through the afternoon. And with the snowfall that occurs this evening, or any mix to snow that falls, my concern is that as we go through the overnight, those temperatures plummet. They fall pretty quickly. You get flash freezing when it falls from the mid 30s or the low to mid 30s down into the upper 20s quickly. You can see that. So surfaces that are elevated, and we always talk about the roads, but it's not just the roads. It could be something like your back deck. You step outside to let the dog out, something like that, and you could slip, or going down up stairs on your front porch or something. I always worry about that. You have to be mindful that these things are going to happen. You just did another update. Where was that accident? Where you saw that one?
Oh gosh, that accident. So we've got one on the peninsula and another one near exit 282 on 64. So that one's right in the middle of the highway there. So I know the first responders certainly racing to get there as everybody's kind of milling around.
Yeah, you've done a heck of a job. Cheryl's been with us helping cover. You know, Bethany Reese is now engaged, by the way. Bethany, congratulations.
She moved to Florida,
She's down in Florida. And Cheryl, you've been amazing over the last month or so, month and a half, kind of filling in and helping, with our coverage. You know, you take a look at this, again, and not the worst snow that we've ever seen, but it has been something that we've been watching, and we knew it was coming. The bottom line is we want you to be prepared. So we never panic, folks, here at 13 News Now, but we try to inform.
Oh, my gosh, yes. So much to talk about here. And I think, Craig, you guys did a phenomenal job with the forecast with this, because we knew that we were going to be getting mostly rain on the south side. I know some folks are waking up going, oh, my gosh, I'm so disappointed. I didn't see a single flake of snow. But most folks saw at least a flake of snow. Some folks, though, if you were a little bit farther south or right along the ocean there, maybe you didn't. And I know
a little disappointing.
Yeah, I know it is.
But we're not quite done. And again, with this chance for the PM mixer snowburst, Cheryl, that's a situation where we could get some snow showers all the way to the coast. So a lot of times, we talk about these systems. If there's cold air entrenched and a system comes in, we draw moisture in, that'll give us snow. When storms bring the cold air, sometimes it doesn't work out. In this case, on the backside, so much cold air aloft as that cold air mixes down with a heavier precip, we could get some snow.
And then you have the winds coming in from the north and west rather than off the open ocean. So that helps keep things more cooler for us, too.
Could be interesting. And then why do I keep struggling with flash freezing?
Because that's hard to say.
Yes, all right. So flash freezing tonight, guys. Travel tomorrow morning for that morning commute could be a little tricky as well.
Yeah,
so
worried
we'll look
about
for
that
some
one.
ice out there, black ice. Cheryl, thank you so much. What we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and wrap up this live stream, but let me remind you, we will be back at 9 a.m. with more coverage. And again, keep checking back with us at 13 News Now for coverage throughout the day as our Weather Alert Day continues.